Hey y'all, hey, and welcome back to the channel. Another non-car conversation because as y'all can see, it's still cold, very cold, like 6 degrees cold. So, if you watched my Cancerversary video, then if you noticed that there on the title page was a part 1, indicating that there was supposed to be a part 2. Well, because the video literally took 12 hours to 13 hours to upload, I kind of got out of the mode of wanting to record a part 2, which I'm a little bit stubborn like that, right? Still working on my stubbornness. So there is no part 2 to the Cancerversary video, and the reason why this will not serve as a part 2 is because I have something else to talk about. Whereas the Cancerversary video was light and airy, really excited, this video is not. So I didn't want this to serve as a part 2 to that video because it doesn't align with the mood that was displayed in the Cancerversary video. So we'll be talking about today, T. So if you watched the Cancerversary video, I did make a mention in that video about some hip pain. So let's talk about that. On December 17th, I was walking through the mall with my family, and I walked probably for about 2 hours. I have not walked that long in a while. But there have been instances where I've had to walk long distances, if that makes sense. But it wasn't like consistent like that. Like there was some times where I would walk, sit down, right? So when I left the mall, I noticed that my hip was hurting. And I didn't share with you guys, the vid actually came into my life. I tested positive on December the 20th. So I thought that my hip pain was a direct connection to COVID because sometimes you can have body aches. So after I was done with COVID, which was a wild time, and I'll explain that at the end of this video. But after I was, after I had recovered from COVID, I noticed that the hip pain was still there. So, and nothing was working. No Tylenol, no Advil, nothing. So I had an appointment with my oncologist that was coming up in the beginning of January. So I decided to just, wait it out to talk to her about it. I went in, I had the appointment, I talked to my oncologist. I told her like, hey, I'm having this hip pain. It's only in my left hip. It's not like the joint pain that I experienced because of the anastrozole. It's not like that. This is kind of persistent, dull, achy pain that won't go away no matter if I take Tylenol, Advil, it doesn't matter, it just won't go away. Because my care team is who they are, she immediately expressed concern. She ordered me some x-rays that day. I went and did the x-ray, and then she also scheduled me for a bone scan. So the x-ray was the same day. The bone scan wasn't until a week later just because Riverside was backed up. So on January the 21st, I had my bone scan 2 days after my Cancerversary. Went to the appointment, got my bone scan, and on Monday, this past Monday, the bone scan did reveal that there was some activity on my left hip. So my onco, she called me personally on Monday afternoon and shared with me that there was activity and that she wanted me to go and have an MRI so that she could get a closer look at what it was that was going on inside my hip. Like, what is the activity? Because the bone scan isn't that detailed that it shows what the activity is. It just shows that there is activity. On Tuesday, I had an MRI, and So I think I told you guys in my very first video how I found out that I had breast cancer. I found out I had breast cancer through my chart. I looked at my chart at about 9-10 o'clock in the morning, and then my breast surgeon called me at noon. So I've been kind of scarred with the whole checking my chart thing. So I did really well not checking the results of the bone scan. I did look at the ones from the x-ray, but I didn't check the results from the bone scan because I didn't know what it was going to say. Well, Tuesday night, I was really anxious, kind of wanted to see what the MRI said. So my boy's dad and I, who we have a great relationship, he was like, look, we'll read the results together. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I open up the results and I'm reading them out loud, and I get to a point where I read something and I'm like, okay, look that up, like Google that right now. So as he's Googling while I'm still reading out loud. And so what he found on Google kind of scared me. And it coincided with what I was reading. So it kind of scared me. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to calm down and wait until I talk to my oncologist. So yesterday, she called me and she shared with me what the activity was. So what did the results say? The results said that the MRI found a tumor on my left hip. Okay. And this is the interesting thing about this whole thing. As I was waiting to enter into the virtual room with my oncologist, my breast surgeon called me. And she was like, you know, I was thinking about you and I wanted to reach out to you to see how you were doing. I know that you were in the office yesterday, but I didn't get to see you. I seen her physician's assistant. So she's like, you know, I just wanted to reach out to you, see how you were doing, you know, woo-de-woo. And then she said, I did see your MRI results and there are some concerns. I'm sure that, you know, Dr. Krishna is going to go over these results with you in detail, but there are concerns because there is a lesion in the hip. Now, the area of the hip where the lesion is, I keep calling it antebellum. And y'all, I don't think that's what it's called. And I think I keep calling it that because it's a group, Lady Antebellum. I think they changed their name though to Lady A. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter for the purposes of this video. But I think that's why I keep calling it that. But I don't think that's what it's called. But it's ante something, and it really might be antebellum. I don't know. It starts with an A. That's what I do know. But the way my oncologist described it was it's the ball and socket in the ball and socket of your hip, and so where the tumor is in the ball. And so my oncologist basically followed up with the same thing that Dr. Jones was saying that, you know, there is a concern, there is a tumor. It's in my left hip. Right now, it's localized. The good news is, so that's where we're going to do the Oreo effect. So the good news is that it is localized and that all of my other bones, because when I got the bone scan, it scanned me from head to toe. And that all of my other bones, my spine, you know, my other joints, my clavicle, my pelvic bone, you know, my shoulders, all of that, my skull, there are no signs of tumors there. And she said to me, this is really unusual, that all of your other bones are good, but we just have that tumor in the left hip. And so I said to her, I said, now, Krishna, you know, if anything unusual is going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Like, I have unusual things happen to me. Like, I have Graves' disease and a Hashimoto disease at the same time. That's unusual. Most people either only have Graves' disease or they only have Hashimoto disease. I have both at the same time. So, you know, these unusual things happen to me. Like I keep telling y'all, I'm gonna share my birth story on my birthday because I'm an unusual being, okay? But then to the next part of that is from what I understand, the site is not a good site for a biopsy. Where the tumor is, if they pull the tissue from the tumor, if they pull the tissue to test the tissue from that part of the bone, that region of the hip, if you will, it will weaken the area. The area is already weak because there's a tumor. So, and I'm at a really high risk for a fracture. So I can't work out and I can't run, and I have to be careful when I'm climbing the steps, and I have to kind of take it easy. So, yeah, that's where we are. So, I've openly expressed that I have I don't really have a positive outlook on the James, but she wants to refer me to the James because they have a really good orthopedic oncology unit, and she has 2 friends that work over there, and that's who she's referring me to. So you're probably wondering, like, okay, so if they can't biopsy it, what are they going to do? What they're going to do, and I keep saying sorry guys, what they're going to do is probably go ahead and remove the tumor, and then once the tumor is extracted from my body, then they'll test it. If it comes back that it is in fact cancer, they'll try to determine if it's breast cancer, because remember, breast cancer, when you're estrogen receptor positive, it can come back in the bones. But again, this is strange, good, but strange that it's not in other bones. They're treating it like it's cancer. Okay? So they're going to try to figure out, is it A, the breast cancer, or is it osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer? So yeah, if it is in fact cancer, like they're treating it like it's cancer, then of course treatment. Like, I'm already in treatment, but it'll go back to the radiation, probably the chemo, those forms of treatment. And I know that I had a conversation with my grandmother and my sister a couple months ago, and I said to them, if my cancer ever came back, I don't think that I would go through the chemo and the radiation and all of that again. But the reality of the situation is, I'm not ready for my life to be over. I'm just not ready. And I know that there's only so much of that I can control. But as long as the science can keep up with my cancer, and we know God is going to do what God is going to do, right? But as long as the science can keep up with my cancer, I absolutely am going to fight this battle with everything that I have in me. And I think that my number one concern is my body strong enough to fight? I'm not crying. My eye is itching. I haven't cried at all because I don't have another tear to give to cancer. I don't. At this point, it's just survival mode. It's fight or flight. And y'all know me. I'm in that thing, right? But I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to give up on life. I deserve to live a full life. And I'm not saying that people that have gone before me didn't deserve these same things. Do not misuse my words. I'm not saying that. I can only speak for me, and I am not ready. My kids need me. My family needs me. because I'm the big dog around here, so they need me. No, I'm just playing. But no, my kids need me. My family needs me. My friends need me. My community needs me. I need me. I need to still be on this side of things. There's so much more that I want to do. There's so much more that I have to do. But the reality of the situation is this could go another way. And so I think that for me, it's just important to find peace in whichever way this is going to go, right? So I am going to do whatever it takes to keep me here just a little bit longer. So I am, and I think that my family was relieved to know that, because I think that after having that conversation, and then the conversation of yesterday of there is a tumor, they are treating it like cancer. I think that having that conversation and that previous conversation being in the back of their minds, it's like, oh my God, like, what is she going to do? But I'm not going to lay down and accept this. I can't. I can't. I cannot. I can't. And like I said, God is going to do what he's going to do, because as long as I'm doing what I can humanly possible, and that's fighting and that's following what the doctor says and doing what I'm supposed to do, he's going to take care of the rest. And so I have peace in that. So let's get on to some good news. The good news is my doctor, because she's so thorough, she's like, I want to have a scan of your organs. So we did another CT scan yesterday, and it's been a whirlwind, right? And that's what happens when you have a great care team, and when you have cancer. This can go really, really fast. And I know people who have horror stories. Their processes have been delayed. Their care team doesn't really care about them. So I've heard the horror stories, and I am grateful. I am so blessed that that's not my plight, right? So yesterday I had a CT scan to get some closer images of my organs, my heart, my lungs, my liver, my kidneys, my pelvic area, just to make sure that there has been no spread of cancer to those organs. And so I want to report that my oncologist called me yesterday evening, and she said to me that there is no sign of cancer there. So that was a sigh of relief to me, because I don't know what I would have done if she would have said that there was signs of cancer there. So I am grateful for that, and I am hoping that everything stays there. One thing that she did tell me, though, was that with this localized tumor that we're treating as cancer, because I have cyst in my liver, and that's hereditary. I have from my grandmother. So I don't know if that kind of skipped a generation and came to me, because I don't think my mom has cyst in her liver. I'm not sure about my aunt and my uncles. But I do have cysts in my liver that are hereditary, genetic, from my grandmother. And she was able to tell that those cysts were benign from the CT scan. So because she didn't say that the tumor was benign, but she was able to determine that the cysts in my liver were benign, we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to kind of go with the way that they're going, and it's probably cancer in my hip. But, like I said, I'm going to fight this, you guys. I have the channel. I'm going to keep you guys updated again. I am not an influencer. I am an encourager. But I thank y'all for rocking with me. I thank y'all for checking on me. I thank y'all for the prayers. I thank y'all for praying for the ones that's praying. And having my back and interceding on my behalf. I thank y'all for the well wishes. I thank y'all for the love. I'm never going to get tired of thanking y'all ever in life. So thank y'all for all the ways that y'all support me. I will keep y'all updated. I am not going to talk about my experience with COVID today. I've talked enough. We'll talk about that in another video. let's just process this and focus on what's in front of us and move on. I love y'all. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, because you never, ever, 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 ever know what anyone is battling, even if they make it look good. And y'all know what it is. It's T Strong forever. Y'all be cool.